Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm excited to sit down with my guest here, Chase Calhoun. He's a real estate investor, a developer, and a GC who is making a major impact in his market in Little Rock, Arkansas. Chase is the founder of Apex Real Estate Investments and Apex Professional Construction, where he specializes in build-to-rent developments and heavy rehab projects. So beyond the numbers and deals, he's super passionate about creating high-quality housing, building strong teams, and helping others grow their real estate. So Chase, without further ado, my friend, welcome to the show. You and I just spent some time together before we started recording, and I'm very excited to speak with you today about everything you have going on. So why don't you just introduce yourself to the audience, talk about maybe your journey, how you got here, and maybe share some of your background.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Again, my name is Chase Calhoun. I'm based out of Little Rock, Arkansas. I've lived here for the last coming up on 8 years with my wife and 2 kids. We actually relocated here from the San Francisco Bay Area, California originally. So we moved out here kind of specifically to start investing in real estate, build a company. I think when we initially started, it was like kind of just wanting to get a couple rentals and get some passive income. And over time, those kind of goals have shifted and moved a little bit farther. And so now we operate a real estate investment company with about 70 units owned and under management, and a full service general construction company. In the past, we've done a lot of heavy rehab projects. Right now, we're focused more on new construction, and specifically a lot of new construction build to rent, both for customers that we're doing, and we're doing a lot of internally to build and hold.
Very cool. Very cool. So, what first got you, interested in real estate investing in general and development, and how did that kind of all lead to, you found, your company, Apex Real Estate Investments, and then also now your construction company. What gave you maybe some inspiration or drive? Was there family behind this, or how did you start?
Yeah, no, not really. So I think like a lot of people, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I was like 15 years
There you
old,
go.
and he swears that that's not a real estate book, but that's what I took away from it. And I think a lot of other people
Yeah.
decided I wanted to buy some rental properties. At the time, and this was years ago, I was living in the San Francisco Bay Area and had wanted to start getting into real estate investing in the Bay Area in 2008, 2009, 2010, when you could buy houses for a reasonable amount of money, and it actually made sense then. And unfortunately,
Yeah.
I let other people talk me out of it. So, family specifically. So they weren't pro me getting into it. They were actually talking me out of getting into it when I should have been buying every house I could get my hands on back then, because the people that did, it's done fairly well for them. And then fast forward several years later, I decided I was ready to do it, but it didn't make sense where I lived anymore, because I wanted to buy long-term rental properties, buy and holds. The out-of-state real estate investment's been around forever, I think. It wasn't mainstream. Like, I'd never heard of Bigger Pockets back then, or maybe just barely. And so I actually made the decision to move. And so we picked up and moved to Little Rock specifically to start investing. It was just kind of one property at a time, slowly, and then over time that kind of morphed into, like I said, it started as, the intention was to be a passive, own a couple rental properties thing. And then over time, it morphed into an actual company and a business on both sides, the real estate investing and the construction.
That's incredible. So, I'm curious. I mean, you're managing, multiple different hats and, different, verticals inside of your business. How did you learn to really, build, solid operations, maybe some systems, around your businesses? Because right now, you obviously see that, a lot of entrepreneurs, they're wearing multiple hats, they might not have those systems and operations put into place. So I think getting your input on that could be very, very valuable to the audience. And just sharing, how are you making all that happen?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Yeah, I learned the hard way. There's a lot better ways to do
As
it.
we do, right?
And so at first, at first it was just me trying to do everything until like literally the wheels were falling off, and then it's like slowly starting to learn about how to systematize things, and then bringing people. It's really been about people the last couple of years, bringing people in to help. And then, I mean, kind of even going into this year, it's something that's been top of mind. One of the biggest things I've been focusing on this year is I'm still investing and I'm still doing construction, but I'm much more focused on trying to build systems and people and actual businesses to help everything run. Early on, though, it was slow and steady. It was like bringing people on just to help with some of the running around in the field work, and then eventually it was bringing on somebody in house to handle the property management. Like that was a big jump. That was the first, I would say, the first full time hire was a field person, and the second was a property manager. And then slowly over time, we've been building that team to where I can spend more time kind of working on the business and finding deals, and less time actually managing projects, and definitely less time managing tenants, because that's the hard one that nobody. It's super important, but it's also the kind of hard part of it.
Yeah. The biggest migraine, right? That we call it. Yep. The one that keeps you up at night.
Oh yeah. But still, I mean, the stuff happens now. It's just I get a little bit of a buffer between it now, and it doesn't stress me out as much as it probably used to a few years ago when I was the direct contact for the problems.
That's good, man. As long as you're not getting any gray hairs on that, right? Then you're in the right place. So
I got plenty of those. I think I earned them all early on. So
yeah, for sure. You definitely put your reps in. Well, cool. I mean, so I know you're doing some heavy rehabbing too, right? I mean, that's a big thing you focus on. You and I were talking about that. I mean, you handle some, full gut projects, firehouse properties. I mean, a lot of stuff like you were saying, people that just overlook and they don't want to mess with it. So, I mean, what key factors do you consider before, is this project worth taking on? How did you learn to maneuver through, some of these, heavy projects?
yeah. So I think I got into them early on just because it was like I had no other choice. Like I was hungry to do deals, but I didn't have enough money or ability to finance or any of that stuff in place. So it was like my only choice was like the only place I could find really good deals at the time was like the kind of the leftovers that nobody else wanted. And so there were properties that were too bad a shape for like somebody that's just flipping properties or somebody that wants to be a little bit more passive and do a burr or something like that. So I think that's how I got started in those. Over time, like I came to kind of like them because especially holding rental properties, and probably for the same reason I like the new constructions now, if it was in such bad condition that I had no choice but to gut the whole thing and basically rebuild the house, when I was finished, I had basically a brand new house, and there was new everything, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, everything had been touched. And so they were kind of lower maintenance, nicer properties. And it made sense financially to go in there and spend all that money because they were in such bad shape. And I bought them so cheap. It worked well. Now, I will say it was a lot of headache. It was a lot of extra stress. And it was
Yeah.
a lot of learning by mistake along the way, but it definitely made sense. And even today, I would say today we're really not buying renovation projects. And I say that the only thing that
Mhm.
we'd probably look at buying if it was something that was like a super heavy rehab, or it was like that. We could buy it cheap enough that it makes sense to basically completely rebuild it and end up with a brand new house, and usually a lot of upside on those heavy rehab projects.
Right. So what are some of the biggest challenge that, you face in, doing these heavy rehabs and I know you mentioned new construction as well. There's always a challenge with that. So I'm curious, I mean, what have you ran into as far as that goes?
If you're looking for consistent, high quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Yeah. Early on, it was a lot and again, this is where the GC thing came into play at some point, because early on it was a lot of like learning how to deal with the municipalities. Because once you go, you can kind of do some of these small rehab renovation projects without pulling permits, and like, hope nobody complains type thing, and you can get away with that for quite a while, depending on where you're at. But with these huge rehab ones, you had no choice but to pull permits and do it fully permitted and up to code. So I would say one of the
Hmm.
biggest challenges was, because I didn't have that heavy construction background, is learning that stuff kind of the hard way. So getting in there and trying to figure out what the rules were and the codes were, to take on projects that size. And then
Hmm.
pretty early on, one of the early projects that we did, we actually just sold last week, which is kind of funny, but it was a burnout fourplex townhome building. And it was stuff like, when I did the initial budget and asked for funding, like I had no idea that the city was going to require fire sprinkler system because of the amount of rehab that was being done. And so like learning
Hmm.
that stuff kind of the hard way ended up serving me really well down the road a couple years ago. We ended up buying like four unit townhome buildings that had been destroyed by a tornado on the same street, knowing
Oof.
what was going to be required of it. And so being able to underwrite them properly on the front end and not get in trouble on them. And so I think just getting in there and learning, it was a lot of learning the rules and the regulations from the municipalities and code and everything like that. A lot of it was kind of learning the hard way, messing something up and having to redo it, or getting, scolded by the city, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. The best teacher is action, right? I mean, they don't teach it in school, that's for sure. But also, it's one of those things
Yeah.
you got to get your hands dirty, hands on to really learn, right? And a
Yeah.
lot of it's not pretty, right? But a lot of them
Yeah.
are hard lessons, but they're all necessary, right? Because
Yeah.
you have to go through that, right? I mean, even I know you work with contractors as well. I'm curious to get your input on that because there are a lot of people that struggle with either managing their their contractors, maybe the expectations as far as that goes, the communication. How do you in your experience manage your budgets? How do you manage timelines with your contractors? And overall, how do you effectively find good contractors and build relationships with those guys?
Yeah, it's changed a lot over time, right?
Mhm.
And I look back early on, maybe kind of more helpful lens to look at it through. Um,
Mhm.
One unique thing where I'm at is there wasn't the availability, in my opinion, of good general contractors who were reasonably priced,
Mhm.
that were willing to take on these kind of real estate investor type projects. It's just like not a lot of talent here as far as construction, and so it's like anybody that was really good at what they
Yeah.
did wanted nothing to do with these little smaller rehabs, right? They were either building new construction or doing commercial work or whatever, and so the
Mhm.
pool of like contractors to choose from was pretty bad. And so that's why I very, very early on, even without the experience, I had no choice but to start basically GCing the projects and going direct to subs, because I couldn't really find that one contractor that could manage everything well. And then a lot of stuff that I think is helpful, like early on, is like and today, this is something that we struggled with this on a couple of projects last year, and it's like going back to the basics. But when we do budgets on stuff, we try to do line item budgets for everything. We look at it like everything or every person that's going to need to get paid on a project, that should be its own line item on the budget before we move forward on it or send it to the bank or whatever. And even if we can get subcontractors, maybe, we got a handyman that can do 10 of those things, and he's going to bid on multiple things. We still try to break it down. That way, as we're paying guys, we're paying it for completion of actual work. One thing you don't want to do is kind of pay too much early on, because it gets tough to get stuff finished and get people back out there onto the jobs. And I think just breaking it out like that, really separating it, and always looking at it through the lens. And one thing I talk to my guys about that are managing the projects now is, if so-and-so just doesn't show up, or with what we haven't paid yet, are we going to be able to bring somebody else on to finish off that task or that job? And so you always need to be aware of that. I think especially with budgeting and paying subcontractors. And then finding them is a whole other, that's more of a little bit of luck and there's more of an art than a science, but a lot of referrals, a lot of just asking around. You get a good, it's funny, like probably the first subcontractor I ever hired was on that first project, and he was a tree guy that came out, and just spending some extra time to I remember we were in a new kind of camping out in this first house that we were renovating. I spent a couple hours talking to this guy, or maybe an hour talking to this guy after he was done with the job. And I remember my wife asking me why. I said, you just never know how it's going to come back. And I probably got referrals to 20 different subcontractors over the years from that one guy. Just spending the time to, people that are good at what they do usually know other people that are good at what they do, and spending the time to talk to them, and then relying on people like that for referrals. As you get a little bit bigger and a little bit busier, like we're busy enough now that people are maybe more proactive in reaching out and want to do work for us. So it's just, we have more work that we can provide. It gets a little bit easier for us to find good, more professional subcontractors. It gets easier, which is kind of weird. Maybe we don't even pay as much as we did on some of the stuff, but because of the volume we're doing, it gets a lot easier to attract more professional subcontractors for sure.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
No, absolutely, man. That's such valuable information, just because, this isn't really talked about enough, right? I mean, you just kind of laying out the foundation as far as that goes. It really is. And I know you emphasized a lot on referrals. Referrals is, man, it's the best, right? As far as that. So, another thing too that, with you is I know you emphasize a lot on the importance of building a strong team, right? It is literally the lifeline of the business, right? I mean, what do you look for specifically when you're looking to hire a team member, or, maybe just partnering with other people in real estate just in general? Like what type of core values, if any, and what do you look for exactly?
Yeah, I mean, it changes over time, right?
Yeah.
And so the more we learn, I think the better we get at picking that stuff out. One of the biggest things right now, especially with somebody that's going to be on our core team, and this may be a little bit different with subcontractors, but I think it's all kind of important, whether it's subcontractor or an actual employee, team member. Is just like attitude, like having a good attitude, and like a willingness to learn is so important. And even as we look to like hire another project manager, I would almost rather have somebody with zero experience, but they've got like an amazing attitude, and they're hungry to learn, and they're just, they're really passionate about wanting to be better, over somebody that's like got this like horrible attitude, but a ton of experience. Like I take the person with a good attitude, no experience all day long, because we can teach them how to, manage a construction project. But if they've got a bad attitude, they don't want to learn, or they think they know everything, or their way is the best way, and they're constantly going to be butting heads with everybody, it's almost not worth it. So I think attitude is super important. And then just other stuff that to me, it's almost like we were setting core values a while ago in a meeting, and there's some stuff that should just be like, it shouldn't be something that we have to state. Like if they don't have integrity, like it's not even something we should have to state. Like they better have integrity and they better have a hard work ethic. Like that stuff's just it's kind of like a non-negotiable for team members, but definitely that attitude, that willingness to learn, I'd say urgency, especially in construction. That's something. We're in the South, and so, and I'm not from here, but a lot of the people here are maybe a little bit slower to get things done and stuff, and so like it's bad enough when it's a subcontracted company or something, but like the people that are working for us, they've got to have a willingness to like want to get stuff done. With a bunch of construction projects going on, you can't be lackadaisical about it. You gotta have some urgency. So
that's right. Time is of the essence, right? Absolutely. Yeah, that's why it's crucial, to know who you're going to date, right? Especially who's in your company and who you're working with, because, it can make or break you, right? So you got to be very particular in who, you want to bring on, right? And also, do these people share the same values as I do, right? Do they share the same vision, share the same mindset? It's so important to really just get that out front and really just iron those things out. And like you just said, I mean, they don't have to necessarily always have that experience, that could be taught, but work ethic is just something that's in a person, right? And looking for that can always be built onto, right? So I want to pivot here, into maybe some advice for, some of our audience. Someone looking to get into, what you're doing, whether that's, I know you're doing new construction, new development, or, build to rent investing, or just fix and flips, but they don't know where to start. I mean, it's fair to say that, there's information overload all out there right now, and you could go through a rabbit hole for days or weeks or months or years, honestly, with a lot of stuff. But I mean, what advice would you give to just anybody that's just wanting to start from ground zero?
Yeah, I think with real estate investing specifically, there's a million different ways and things you can do and be successful and make money and have it be a good thing to do. I think the most important thing is to just pick one and get started and go all in on it. And it's probably not going to be, if you continue to do it, it's probably not going to be the same thing you continue to do your entire career in it, right? But just doing that first deal, whatever it is. So like I don't care if it's like you want to do long-term holds, or you want to flip, or you want to wholesale, or you want to do short-term rentals, or co-living. Whatever, there's a million things, just pick one. So, whichever one you think is going to be the best for you, pick that and go all in and just try to, figure out how to do that first deal. That's the hardest one. I think it gets better from there, and there's going to be challenges along the way, and it's going to change. What we're doing today is totally different than the game plan 7 years ago when I started. And 7 years from now, I'm 100% confident that we'll probably be doing something completely different.
I love that, man. I love that. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I did. Hope you got nothing but value, as I know you already did. As always, my friends, we will see you on the next episode. See you on the inside. Take care.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.